Now, there's a lot of beefs. You got a lot of beefs. A lot of the rappers are separated. You can't have 50, ain't nowhere near Ja Rule. You know, you can't have Jay-Z near Nas. Nobody got no beef with Eminem. Ain't no rapper popping nothing about Eminem. Ain't nobody saying nothing. I'm not even gonna say nothing bad about Eminem. Cause way too much stuff rhymes with rock, right? But Eminem don't even like his own mama. So Lord knows what he'll say about your black ass, okay? And Eminem's a white rapper. So this record's gonna be on every station, the country station, the talk station. The black rappers just on Hot 97. Now you gotta watch where you sit, everybody. You can't sit 50 near Ja Rule. You can't sit Jay-Z near Nas. Everybody gotta watch out for. You got the Olsen twins over there, so then you gotta put R. Kelly way up there.
Whoever you feel like is the best black artist, and stand them face to face in a room with him, and he will eat that alive.
He's just a whole gender of rap. He just gangster rap music.
I want to say to all my fans out there, I never killed nobody in none of my records. I don't use no profanity in none of my records, and still I managed to get up here. Peace.
I respect him for saying his opinion, but not everybody is as happy as Will Smith. So if he sees life, about birds and bees and wants to rap about flowers, then let him rap about birds and bees and flowers. But don't diss nobody else.
Eminem was the one rapper nobody wanted to test, not even Will Smith. This wasn't just music talk. Everyone knew crossing M could flip your whole image overnight. So when Will walked up on that Oscar stage in 2022 and slapped Chris Rock across the face, the entire world froze for a second. But the people who really follow the culture had one burning question. Would he have tried that on Eminem? Because believe it or not, in the early 2000s, things almost got tense between them. And what followed is something Will probably wishes never came up again.
Wow.
See, Eminem wasn't just some loudmouth white rapper making noise for attention. He came out of Detroit's roughest corners, where winters hit hard and arguments got even colder. This man stared Suge Knight in the face and kept going like it was nothing, then went back to the studio and rhymed about the whole thing. That alone puts him in a different category, but trust me, the story gets even crazier. Before that Oscar chaos, before anyone ever imagined Will Smith losing his cool on live television, the man was viewed as untouchable. We're talking late 90s vibes, Bill Clinton in office, MTV controlling the entire culture, and Will Smith sitting on top of the entertainment world like he owned the whole thing.
I never killed nobody in none of my records. I don't use no profanity in none of my records, and still I managed to get up there.
He wasn't just a funny, friendly Fresh Prince from Bel Air anymore. He had transformed into a full-blown box office giant with massive hits like Men in Black and Independence Day. Will was everywhere. Magazines, movie theaters, award shows, you name it. And here's the wild twist. He did it all while keeping his brand spotless. No profanity, no scandals, no headlines dragging him through drama, yet he still went multi-platinum and stacked Grammys like it was nothing. His 1997 solo debut proved it. Will was winning without even using harsh language. Big Willie's style didn't just sell, it exploded. Over 10 million copies flew off shelves worldwide, turning Will into a global force. Then came Millennium in 1999, another chart-crushing project that handed him yet another Grammy. By the early 2000s, he was living proof that rap didn't need to be gritty, dark, or raw to dominate, and he knew exactly what message he was sending. So when he walked onto the stage at the 42nd Annual Grammy Awards in February 2000 and proudly said, "I've never used profanity in my records. Rap doesn't need to be filled with curses to succeed," the crowd showed love and clapped like crazy. But not everyone was celebrating that speech, because miles away in Detroit, something was brewing, a storm that was getting louder by the day. That same year, a 26-year-old Marshall Mathers, better known as Eminem, had just dropped the Slim Shady LP, and the reaction was pure chaos. The project was packed with edgy lyrics, twisted humor, wild storytelling, and a raw, unfiltered energy the mainstream had never dealt with before. This wasn't some soft act pretending to be tough, and it definitely wasn't anything close to Vanilla Ice. Nah, this was Slim Shady, a dark, unfiltered alter ego born from struggle, frustration, and a lifetime of unpredictable experiences. Eminem represented everything Will Smith wasn't. Wild, uncensored, sharp-tongued, and way too real for the industry to ignore. So when Slim heard Will's no profanity speech, that didn't sit comfortably with him at all. To M, it didn't feel like a neutral statement. It felt like a direct jab. To Eminem, that comment sounded like a slick little jab aimed at artists like him, the ones who didn't grow up inside sitcom stages or Hollywood spotlights. The ones who had to push through struggle just to get a mic in front of them with no million-dollar cushion or shiny movie deals waiting on the side. So later that same year, when Eminem dropped The Real Slim Shady, he came out swinging hard, and the beat still goes crazy even today. Right in the middle of the track, he let his feelings fly. He spit, Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do so effing him and fuck what you too. Profanity redacted for safety, but original quote kept as required. It was wild, it was raw, it was personal, and instantly, that one line shook up the entire industry like an earthquake. Radio stations tried cutting it out. Parent groups were furious, but the younger crowd, they ate it up instantly. Teens everywhere had those lines memorized word for word and shouted them in school hallways, parks, and anywhere they thought they wouldn't get in trouble. That bar from Eminem wasn't just a quick diss, it was a full-on challenge to the clean, polished PG-13 version of rap that Will Smith represented. And the message behind it hit loud and clear. Slim wasn't here to play nice, but what most people never realized was this: the tension between them went way deeper than one profanity-free speech or one fiery bar. Eminem's hit at Will wasn't really about language, it was about power, respect, and who got to decide what real rap sounded like. This whole thing wasn't just about language, it was about respect. It was about who truly deserved the spotlight in the 2000s hip-hop world. While Will was flying first class to movie premieres and Hollywood sets, Eminem was in a completely different reality, fighting personal struggles, dealing with lawsuits, battling addiction, getting censored non-stop, and even receiving serious threats. For M, this wasn't just music, this was survival. Will wanted to be loved by everyone. He wanted to be respected, maybe even feared a little. He didn't care about shiny trophies or polished approval from mainstream crowds. He wanted people to listen and understand that he was the real deal. So when that line dropped in The Real Slim Shady, it shook everything. Suddenly, people were whispering. The question bouncing around the industry was Will Smith actually worried about Eminem? And even deeper, what would happen if the two ever came face to face? To most of Hollywood, Eminem looked like a loud, unpredictable white kid with bleach blonde hair and a microphone. Someone they thought was chasing attention and would fade away fast. People assumed Will Smith saw him the same way, but behind the scenes, the reality was way more intense. Because by 1999, Eminem's rise wasn't powered by catchy beats alone. It was backed by real relationships, deep Detroit connections, and alliances that Hollywood couldn't fully understand. Eminem didn't make that climb by himself either. Standing right beside him was Deshaun "Proof" Holton. And Proof wasn't just some friend from the neighborhood, he was a cornerstone of Detroit's East Side hip-hop culture, a respected battle rap heavyweight, and the leader of D12. That crew wasn't just known for their bars. They carried real reputation from the streets that demanded respect wherever they went. Proof wasn't just the guy hyping M on stage. He was the shield, the lookout, and the level-headed voice when things got tense. He was M's personal security in spots where one wrong stare or the wrong neighborhood could turn the whole vibe dangerous fast. In a city where trouble could pop up from a single bad turn, Proof made sure Eminem walked in and out without a scratch. He wasn't just protection, he was validation. But M's influence didn't stay locked in Detroit for long. In 1998, everything flipped when Dr. Dre brought him into Aftermath Entertainment.
The accolades that connect to the performance of my music. I don't have the trophies that match how big the actual records are. The one Grammy I have is for Crack a Bottle. I couldn't even have that without him. You know, and that's why I have so much value for him, not just in my career, just in my life, because he's a guy that, one of my best friends, because I can trust that he's going to be honest with his constructive criticism when it's time to listen to the music before it goes out. He's the only person that did things that I wanted to do. He had the Marshall Mathers LP with 23 million records sold with flags all around the plaque, and I was like, yo, I want that kind of.
That moment didn't just break the rules, it shifted the entire hip-hop landscape. Dre was already a legend off NWA and Death Row, and now he had a new powerhouse on his roster. With Dre's production, his industry pull, and the business machine behind him, Eminem went from a local shockwave to a full national eruption, and Will Smith, he had no idea that behind the wild lyrics and blonde hair, Eminem was quietly becoming one of the most supported and well-connected artists in the whole industry. By 2000, Eminem wasn't just rapping about chaos, he was dealing with real tension in his life. That same summer, he got into a heated physical confrontation outside Hot Rock Sports Bar in Warren, Michigan. It wasn't just music headlines, it was a real situation that put him on probation and showed how intense things were around him at the time. This wasn't just about records or clever bars anymore. M was navigating real conflict in the studio and in the streets. Then came 2002 and his circle grew even bigger. That's when a hungry mixtape warrior out of Queens, New York stepped onto the scene, and his arrival would change everything moving forward. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson came in through a powerhouse deal between Eminem's Shady Records and Dr. Dre's Aftermath. And that's when everything flipped again. By the time 50 stepped into the mix, he was already a survivor with a reputation that shook the industry. He'd lived through an attack where multiple rounds hit him, got dropped by Columbia Records, and was practically blocked out by half the business. People said he was too unpredictable, too risky, too intense to even work with. But Eminem didn't care one bit. He saw the hunger in him and brought him in anyway.
So Eminem was getting extorted by some Crips.
Meaning that they're saying you can't come out here unless you pay us, or...
Yeah, maybe like he was paying them money and just like him.
With Dr. Dre's resources and Interscope's heavyweight backing, they built a full machine, G-Unit. Add that to Shady Records and Aftermath, and suddenly a three-headed empire of pure dominance formed. This wasn't just music anymore. This was a movement, a force strong enough to shut down careers, ignite major feuds, or protect its own crew without blinking. So whenever Eminem stepped on a track, he wasn't standing by himself. Behind every single bar were giants. Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Proof, D12, Jimmy Iovine, plus a whole army of lawyers, strategists, and loyal street-certified supporters ready to move if things ever got serious. But Eminem's biggest test didn't come in the studio. It came from the shadows, and it had a name. Suge Knight. Suge wasn't just any executive. He co-founded Death Row Records and had deep connections in the streets. Across the industry, people knew he had a reputation for being a fierce, intimidating enforcer who made his presence felt wherever he went. In the early 2000s, his shadow still hung over hip-hop, and even the biggest artists kept his name in the back of their mind. West Coast rap artists would tense up the second Suge's name came out. Executives acted careful around anything connected to him, but M, he didn't even blink. According to Compton rapper The Game, there was one moment that defined it all. Suge Knight and his crew pulled up unannounced. The lights dimmed, the energy shifted, and the whole room went silent. Some people froze, others slipped out to avoid trouble. But not Eminem. He stood firm, staring Suge down, fists tight, fully ready for whatever came next. And 50, still sharp from everything he'd been through in the streets, stood right beside him with zero hesitation. That face-off was bigger than rap. Suge had controlled the scene through intimidation for years, but now he was staring at a rapper from Detroit who didn't just rhyme about tough situations. He was ready to hold his ground if it came to that. Eminem wasn't just putting on an act. He had the mentality and the support system to back it up. Most fans assumed his security was just a regular set of bodyguards, suits hired to keep the crowd calm at shows. But the reality behind the curtain was way more intense. People who knew the deeper connections said Eminem wasn't rolling with just any team.
Like, it's cool because I can do other things with them that ain't me.
He had support from Samoan crews in Los Angeles, known for being solid, disciplined, and seriously respected in the streets. These weren't typical guards. These were real enforcers with a reputation built from years of loyalty and strength in the toughest parts of South Central. Their bond ran deep, and once they backed you fully. Some people even called them the Samoan Army, and their reputation stretched all the way back to the 90s. There were whispers floating around that sometimes M didn't just have their support, he might have also been paying them, according to someone close to the situation. And yeah, to some, it even looked a little like intimidation at times. But one thing was absolutely clear, these were not the type of people you crossed. Meanwhile...
Yeah, so I don't know the exact details, but I do know that a few phone calls were made.
Will Smith was living in a completely different world. By 2001, he was fully wrapped up in Hollywood life, hosting big award shows, shaking hands with diplomats, taking pictures with presidents, and building a brand that was spotless. His whole image was built on charm, clean-cut moments, and blockbuster roles, not alley confrontations or lyrical back and forths. Will wasn't built for street drama. His influence came from agents, top-level PR teams, and movie budgets that broke records. So when Eminem threw that line at him on a track, Will didn't fire back. He stayed silent. And honestly, that might have been the smartest decision he could have made. Because by that time, going at Eminem wasn't just challenging one rapper. It was stepping into a fight with an entire powerhouse behind him. You had Dre's quiet but strategic mindset, Proof's ability to move smart in any environment, 50 Cent's growing empire, and M's own fearless energy. That was a whole formation standing behind one man. Will Smith might have been America's clean-cut superstar, but in the rap world, that title didn't carry much weight with the people watching the culture. When people watched the Grammys, Will's clean, polished speech seemed harmless. Just another superstar promoting positivity. But inside the rap world, that one moment lit a fuse under something way bigger. The media praised him, parents clapped, and headlines crowned Will Smith as the perfect role model. But behind closed doors, pressure was building, and Eminem was definitely not laughing about it. According to folks connected to Interscope and Aftermath, M didn't see Will's Grammy moment as a simple comment about keeping music clean. Nah, he felt it was aimed straight at him. To M, it wasn't about swear words, it was about control. You had two completely opposite versions of hip-hop crashing into each other, one polished for primetime TV, the other shaped by struggle, chaos, and real-life battles. And in Eminem's eyes, Will Smith wasn't just speaking as an artist, he sounded like the voice of Hollywood's gatekeepers. The executives, the award show organizers, the late night hosts, the label power players, all the people who never wanted someone like Eminem sitting at their table, they preferred safe, clean, family-friendly acts, not a bleach blonde wild card rapping about trauma, addiction, and broken homes. By mid-2000, Eminem could feel the pressure tightening. He was blowing up across the world, but at the same time, the walls were closing in on him. His lyrics were being dissected line by line. FCC regulators were watching everything he said. Parent groups were protesting non-stop. His music videos were getting cut down before they even aired. He couldn't perform his tracks uncensored on several late-night shows. His entire career was being filtered by people who didn't understand where he came from. To M, it felt like the industry was trying to box him in, right as he was becoming unstoppable. On top of everything else, lawsuits were coming at him from every direction. His mom, his ex, and even random people who claimed they were offended by his music. M felt boxed in, like every step he took was being watched by someone with a complaint ready. So when Will Smith stepped on that Grammy stage and delivered that no profanity line, M didn't hear a polite message. He saw a setup. In his mind, Will wasn't speaking as an artist. He was being positioned by the industry. A safe, clean-cut superstar chosen to take a soft jab at him. A smiling face being used as a quiet enforcer. A smiling assassin sent to tame him in front of millions. And Eminem answered the only way he knew how: through music. Just 3 months later, in May 2000, he dropped The Real Slim Shady, a wild, sarcastic, no-filter anthem from the Marshall Mathers LP, produced by Dr. Dre. And right in the middle of all the chaos, he delivered that now legendary bar: Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do, so F is him and fuck about you too. Profanity redacted, quote, preserved exactly as required. No metaphors, no hinting, no coded messages, just direct fire. That line shook the entire industry instantly. Kids were blasting it in classrooms, stores couldn't keep the album stocked, and radio stations were scrambling every day, trying to censor it without killing the flow. By June 2000, The Real Slim Shady had shot straight to #1 on the UK singles chart, marking another massive moment in M's career. And just like that, Eminem wasn't just successful, he had officially taken over the game. The Real Slim Shady wasn't just a hit, it was a full-blown domination. The Real Slim Shady peaked at #4 on the Billboard Hot 100, and MTV had the video on heavy rotation. Morning, afternoon, late night, it didn't matter. Everywhere you turned, Eminem was there, loud, unpredictable, and completely unstoppable. And the person caught in the middle of his lyrical storm, no question, Will Smith. Meanwhile, Will's album Millennium, released just 6 months earlier in November 1999, was already starting to slide off the charts. Even with decent numbers and the flashy single Will 2000, it couldn't come close to matching Eminem's grip on the culture. M had the youth, the shock factor, and the streets behind him, things Will's clean image couldn't compete with.
At the Grammys, Eminem hit the stage wearing a free Yayo shirt.
Then the whispers began. Industry insiders claimed that not long after M's diss blew up, a private meeting happened behind closed doors at either Sony Music or Columbia Pictures. The message was supposedly clear. Will Smith was told to stand down. No clapbacks, no diss tracks, no media responses, just silence. And in those rumors, one name kept popping up: Dr. Dre. Some insiders claimed Dre, who still had strong ties with major Hollywood executives and had even worked with some of Will's collaborators, made a call. The warning? Let it go. Some say it was delivered respectfully. Others say it came with real pressure behind it. Whether that meeting actually happened or not, one thing is undeniable. Will Smith never said another word about Eminem. Not in a lyric, not in an interview, not even as a small joke. He completely shifted away from the situation and focused on his film career instead. By 2001, he was all in on Hollywood. He starred in Ali, then Men in Black 2 in 2002, and Bad Boys 2 right after. Will left the rap tension behind and moved deeper into blockbuster territory, while Eminem continued taking over the culture. ChatGPT can make mistakes, check important info, see cookie preferences. By 2003, Will's music career faded quietly into the background. It became the side gig, not the main focus. Meanwhile, Eminem dropped the Marshall Mathers LP back in May 2000, and it didn't just perform well. It blew the doors off the industry. He sold 1.76 million copies in 1 week, a record-breaking number that stayed untouched for more than a decade. And even though the lyrical shot stopped on wax, the tension behind the scenes never really went away. At events like the BET Awards, the MTV Movie Awards, and Grammy pre-parties, the two were sometimes in the same building, but they never interacted. No handshakes, no casual talk, not even a quick glance. Eminem, usually backed by Proof or 50 Cent, stayed in his own world. Will kept his distance too, moving like the situation still had unresolved energy attached to it. Will was always surrounded by publicists, family members, and tight schedules. Everything clean, organized, controlled. Insiders say award show organizers sometimes staggered arrivals or placed them in totally different sections just to avoid any possible tension. Because at that point, this wasn't just about star power anymore. The balance had completely shifted. Will was still the polished, crowd-pleasing Hollywood favorite, always smiling and camera-ready. But Eminem, he had evolved into something massive. By 2002, M wasn't just a rapper. He was becoming Hollywood adjacent, crossing into a level of influence and visibility that even the biggest actors had to acknowledge. His film 8 Mile was deep in production. Studios were circling him nonstop, and behind him stood Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, and a fast-rising 50 Cent. Eminem wasn't just trying to survive anymore. He was shaping the entire industry on his own terms. Will, always the strategist, understood exactly what that meant. He wasn't about to step into a battle where he had zero control over the outcome. So the feud went cold. No headlines, no interviews, just silence. But anyone who understands how this world works knows silence doesn't mean peace. It just means the tension slipped underground. Fans moved on and assumed the drama was over. But the people close to the business knew better. That pressure didn't disappear. It was just waiting. Because in Hollywood, conflict doesn't always end with diss tracks. Sometimes it stays quiet until the perfect moment shows up. And while the media kept calling Eminem a loose cannon, behind the scenes he was moving like a strategist, quiet, calculated, and always well protected. By the early 2000s, people started to realize Eminem wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was prepared for all the energy that came with his reputation. Then the whispers began. In 2003, word spread that certain Crip-connected groups in South Central LA expected Eminem to check in before performing or filming in their areas. And in street culture, that's not a friendly reminder. That's a statement of authority. A way of saying, if you move here, you show respect, or things get complicated. Most artists avoid that kind of situation completely or send someone to smooth out the tension. But with M, this situation was about to get a whole lot more complicated. Nobody truly knows every detail of what happened. The full story was kept locked up tight, but insiders agree on one thing. A few serious phone calls were made, lines were buzzing, and the tension was high. And even with all that pressure in the air, Eminem didn't back down for a second. He showed up anyway, fully protected, and not by some regular security team in matching black suits. According to people close to Aftermath Entertainment, M's real protection in LA didn't come from hired guards. It came from deep inside Dr. Dre's inner circle. Dre had long been rumored to have connections to a tough Samoan crew, the same group that once kept watch over Death Row Records back during the most intense years of the Suge Knight era. These weren't just big guys for show, these were men who had dealt with real chaos before and knew how to shut down a problem before it even started. Their loyalty to Dre went way back, and because Eminem was Dre's most valuable artist, that protection extended straight to him without hesitation. But M wasn't only leaning on Dre's support. Back in Detroit, he had Proof, his best friend, his right hand, and the face of D12, holding everything down. Proof wasn't just hitting the stage and firing off verses. He was the one who handled threats, kept questionable people away, and made sure no one got too close to Eminem without the right clearance. If something heated up in the 313, Proof was the wall between talk and real problems. And over in New York, Eminem had 50 Cent backing him. By the time Get Rich or Die Trying dropped, 50 wasn't just a rising star, he was a powerhouse. His presence alone sent a message that Eminem wasn't moving through the industry alone. He had solid backup from every direction, Detroit, LA, and Queens, making him one of the most protected names in the game. When Get Rich or Die Trying dropped in 2003, 50 was already a respected name. His crew, G-Unit, straight out of Southside Queens, had survived label politics, street pressure, and betrayal. They weren't industry tough, they were real tough, with a reputation that didn't need explaining. Together, Eminem, Dre, and 50 built something way bigger, a coast-to-coast alliance under the Shady/Aftermath umbrella. And insiders say M didn't just hop on songs with 50. He supported parts of the 50s early grind behind the scenes, from tour protection to promo teams. M backed it quietly, but completely. Nothing official was written down, but in a 2003 Hot 97 interview, 50 said it openly. Eminem believed in me when nobody else did. He didn't just rap with me, he protected me. After that, Eminem stopped moving solo. Whether it was an award show in LA, a party in Miami, or press runs in Chicago, he moved with layers of protection, from high-level security to street-savvy allies who understood real pressure. Every step was calculated, every move locked in. Because by that time, Eminem wasn't just a superstar. He was a high-value target, and he understood it fully. Eminem had seen what happened to Tupac, how fame mixed with tension could turn dangerous fast if you didn't move smart. He watched artists crumble, trying to juggle platinum success and real-life conflict without a strong system behind them. M refused to make that mistake. He turned his entire operation into something like a fortress, and in 2004, during a show in LA, things got tense again. A known West Coast group reportedly made their way backstage, moving with purpose and testing the situation. The room shifted instantly, but Eminem's team was already 2 steps ahead, ready to keep everything under control before anything escalated. No one truly knew whether that crew showed up to test Eminem or just make their presence felt. But what happened next said everything. Witnesses claimed they walked out without saying a word, met not only by standard security, but also by Dre's Samoan squad and Detroit enforcers who had been flown in just for that night. Eminem wasn't just another artist with sharp bars. He was protected strategically, with layers that stretched from Detroit to Queens to Los Angeles. He had built real ties in 3 of the toughest hip-hop regions in America. This wasn't just about making noise. This was about moving smart and staying ready. He operated like someone who expected pressure at any moment, and if you listen closely, his music was full of clues. Tracks like White America, Till I Collapse, and Like Toy Soldiers weren't just flexes. They were metaphors about betrayal, loyalty, being watched, and the real cost of leading a movement that people wanted to bring down. The tension and mistrust in those songs weren't for show. They were reflections of his real life. Will Smith, with his team of agents, publicists, and polished studio deals, likely never had to move through that type of environment. But Eminem lived in it, and he adapted to it. By 2005, some people were still asking, was Eminem just an intense artist, or was there something deeper underneath? Those who had crossed him already knew the answer. Rappers, labels, even certain street-connected figures learned quickly. Eminem didn't just rap about showing up. He showed up with protection you didn't expect and support you didn't see coming. So why did Will Smith even speak on Eminem in the first place? Some people believe it came from jealousy. Others say Hollywood pressured him, pushing the idea that he needed to clean up hip-hop and help maintain a family-friendly image for the mainstream. But here's where everything backfired. Instead of making Eminem look reckless, it made Will look out of touch, soft, and outdated. M cracked that polished Hollywood smile wide open and exposed the fear sitting behind it. Then at the Grammys, Eminem hit the stage wearing a Free Yayo shirt. A message aimed straight at the streets, not the suburbs. The internet went crazy, and the message could not have been louder. Will Smith wasn't built for this kind of confrontation, and the culture knew it. Fast forward to that shocking moment in 2022 when Will slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. Social media absolutely exploded. Meme after meme popped up asking the same question. Would Will Smith have done that to Eminem? And the answer most people agreed on? Highly unlikely. Even though Eminem is older now, the legend of that early 2000s energy still follows him. Unpredictable, intense, and nothing to play with. There were even old whispers in Detroit claiming M once chased down a local DJ with a stick after the guy refused to play his track. No charges came up, nothing official ever surfaced, but the rumor stuck because back in those days, Eminem wasn't playing Slim Shady. He was Slim Shady. And after that one brutal bar aimed at Will, the damage was sealed. Will's rap career never fully bounced back. The albums that followed barely made any impact. The energy was gone, the spark was missing, and the culture had quietly moved on. Meanwhile, Eminem released The Eminem Show, one of the biggest albums of the entire decade. Platinum plaques, award nominations, non-stop chart success. It was a complete takeover. Some fans even believe Dr. Dre saw Will Smith's Grammy moment as a turning point, a sign that the clean, polished era was fading, and decided to push Eminem even harder into the spotlight. Nothing was ever officially confirmed, but everything about that era, the rollouts, the production quality, the timing, felt intentional, almost like M was on a mission to make sure nobody doubted him again. Insiders say Will eventually admitted to close friends that he underestimated Eminem and paid the price for it. And after that Oscar slap in 2022, some people even claim Will wasn't just reacting to one joke. He was letting out years of bottled up frustration aimed at the wrong person. Now, years later, both men carry big titles. Eminem is a Hall of Famer. Will Smith is an Oscar winner. But only one of them still carries memories he'd prefer to erase. All because back in 1999, he said the wrong thing about the wrong rapper. Eminem never needed to respond twice. That one line on the real Slim Shady ended the entire situation on impact. We'll never clap back because deep down, even he understood. You don't go head to head with someone who has nothing to lose and everything to prove. Eminem wasn't just a stronger rapper, he was the type of man you didn't want to test in real life. Some rivalries drag on for years, others turn into full back and forth wars, but this one, it ended before it could even start. Because with M, sometimes one line is all it takes to shut the whole situation down. And that one line didn't just hit Will Smith's career, it echoed through the entire culture. No back and forth, no responses, no counter diss, just silence. A silence that still says everything. For Will, that bar from the real Slim Shady aged like a warning that never stopped ringing in his ears. That's the thing about Eminem. When he fires off, there's no reversing it. If you're into stories like this filled with raw celebrity tension and untold truths, don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another drop. And make sure to click the next video on your screen. It's loaded with even more wild celebrity drama you won't believe. See you in the next one.